Welcome back, coin enthusiasts. Today we're diving into something that might be hiding in your pocket change right now. While most of us walk around with pennies we consider nearly worthless, some of these little copper discs are worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. That's right, those Lincoln cents you've been tossing into jars or leaving in cup holders could be numismatic treasures. I'm talking about 5 specific pennies from the modern era that command shocking prices. And the best part? They were all minted after 1967, meaning they're potentially sitting in your collection or even your spare change right now. Let's start our journey with one of the most sought-after modern pennies, the 2000 Lincoln cent with a fascinating minting error. The 2000 Lincoln cent doesn't sound particularly special at first glance. After all, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies that year. But among those billions lurks a variety that makes collectors' hearts race. The 2000 Lincoln cent with a prominent double die obverse. Now, I know what some of you veterans are thinking. Double dies are interesting, but they're not exactly rare. And you'd be right about most double dies. But this particular variety is exceptional. The story begins at the Philadelphia Mint where, during the die preparation process, something went awry. For those who aren't familiar with how minting errors occur, a double die happens when the hub imprints the die multiple times, but with a slight misalignment. This misalignment then transfers to every coin struck by that die. What makes the 2000 double die so special is the prominence of the doubling, particularly visible on the word Liberty and the date. Under magnification, you can see clear separation between the primary and secondary impressions. It's not subtle like many other double dies from this era. The most fascinating aspect of this error is that it occurred during a time when the Mint had implemented advanced technology specifically designed to prevent such mistakes. The single-squeeze hubbing process, introduced in the 1990s, was supposed to eliminate double die errors almost entirely. Yet here was nature finding a way, as it often does in the numismatic world. Identifying a genuine 2000 double die penny requires careful examination. You'll want to look specifically at the word Liberty, where doubling appears most prominently on the letters B, E, R, and T. The date also shows significant doubling, particularly on the first and second zeros. But be warned, there are many counterfeit examples floating around, particularly since this error gained publicity. That's why having your specimen authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC is absolutely crucial. In terms of value, this is where things get exciting. A circulated 2000 double die penny in fine condition might fetch $50 to $100, but the value escalates dramatically with condition. In extremely fine condition, you're looking at $200 to $400. But it's the uncirculated examples that truly shine. An MS-63, Mint State 63, example commonly sells for $500 to $750, while MS-65 specimens command $1,200 to $1,800. The real price? An MS-67 or better can bring $3,000 to $5,000 at auction, with the current record standing at just over $7,800 for an MS-68 example sold in 2022. What makes collecting these coins particularly interesting is the hunt itself. Unlike some legendary rarities that were recognized immediately upon minting, the 2000 double die circulated for years before being recognized. This means that some examples were in circulation, getting scratched, dented, and worn before anyone realized their significance. It's entirely possible that some are still out there, unrecognized in rolls or collections. There's also a fascinating psychological aspect to collecting these modern rarities. Many traditional collectors initially dismissed the 2000 double die as insignificant compared to classic errors like the 1955 double die cent. But as the numismatic community has evolved, there's been growing appreciation for these modern treasures. Today's collectors understand that rarity isn't just about age. It's about genuine scarcity and distinctive characteristics. Another element that adds to the allure of the 2000 double die penny is its accessibility. Unlike some numismatic treasures that cost tens or hundreds of thousands right out of the gate, this error gives collectors of modest means a chance to hunt for a genuine rarity. It represents the democratization of coin collecting, where knowledge and sharp eyes can potentially be more valuable than a deep wallet. The 2000 double die penny also serves as a perfect example of how minting errors occur even in the modern era. Despite advanced technology, human oversight, and quality control measures, imperfections still happen. Each error tells a story about the minting process, giving us a window into the complex world of coin production. For those who approach numismatics from a technical perspective, these modern errors are fascinating case studies in metallurgy, die preparation, and striking techniques. For those of you who've started checking your change jars already, I should mention that the 2000 double die penny is just one of several varieties from that year. There are also less prominent double dies from 2000 that show doubling in different areas or to lesser degrees. While these don't command the same prices as the major variety, they're still worth more than face value and represent interesting collecting opportunities in their own right. Let's round out our exploration with a truly extraordinary modern rarity, the 1978 Lincoln cent with a dramatic filled die error. This coin represents one of those perfect numismatic storms where multiple factors converge to create something both visually striking and genuinely scarce. The story behind the 1978 filled die Lincoln cent begins with a mundane manufacturing issue. During the minting process, foreign material, likely a combination of grease, metal shavings, and debris, became impacted in the recessed areas of a die at the Philadelphia Mint. As this die struck coin after coin, it produced cents with portions of the design missing where the foreign material blocked the transfer of the image. What makes this particular filled die error special is its extreme nature and consistency across multiple examples. The most dramatic 1978 filled die cents show Lincoln's profile reduced to a ghostly outline, with the date, Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," partially or completely missing. The effect is visually stunning, almost as if someone had taken an eraser to portions of the design. Numismatists sometimes refer to these as phantom head Lincoln cents because of the eerie, partial appearance of Lincoln's bust. Identifying a genuine 1978 filled die error requires careful examination. Unlike many errors that affect only one coin, this die error produced a series of coins with similar characteristics. Look for portions of the design that appear to be missing but with smooth surfaces in those areas. This is different from a strike-through error, where foreign material between the die and planchet creates an indentation. On the filled die error, the missing elements have the same surface texture as the rest of the coin, just without the raised design. The most desirable examples show 50% or more of the obverse design missing, with the outline of Lincoln's profile still visible. In terms of value, the 1978 filled die cents vary dramatically based on the extent of the error and the condition of the coin. Minor examples with just partial filling might sell for $25 to $50. Moderately dramatic examples in uncirculated condition typically bring $100 to $250. The most extreme examples, where Lincoln's profile is reduced to a mere outline, can command $500 to $1,000 or more in uncirculated condition. One particularly spectacular example, showing almost 80% of the obverse design missing while still retaining a clear outline of Lincoln's profile, sold for just over $1,800 at a specialized error coin auction in 2017. What fascinates me about the 1978 filled die cent is how it illustrates the tension between standardization and variability in the minting process. The modern U.S. Mint strives for perfect consistency, yet these errors remind us that coin production remains a physical, mechanical process subject to real-world complications. Every filled die error tells a story about the conditions on the minting floor at a specific moment in time. I've spoken with collectors who have assembled multi-coin sets of these filled die errors, showing the progression of the die as it became increasingly clogged with debris. One advanced collector from Michigan showed me a remarkable 5-coin set where you can see the error evolving, with Lincoln's features gradually disappearing as the die deteriorated further. This kind of sequential collecting adds a fascinating dimension to error collecting that goes beyond simply owning a single spectacular piece. What also makes the 1978 filled die cent compelling is its visual impact. Many numismatic rarities require magnification or specialized knowledge to appreciate. But show someone a dramatic filled die cent, and they'll immediately recognize that something unusual has happened. This visual punch makes these coins excellent conversation pieces and perfect entry points for introducing new collectors to the fascinating world of error coins. For those of you checking your collections, I should note that these filled die errors can be found in circulation, unlike some of the other rarities we've discussed today. While the most dramatic examples were likely pulled from circulation years ago, less extreme examples could still be found in collections, penny jars, or even occasionally in pocket change. The key is knowing what to look for. Any 1978 penny with portions of the design mysteriously missing while the surface remains smooth deserves a closer look. There's also an interesting phenomenon where these filled die errors sometimes appear in groups. Because they were produced sequentially as the die became progressively clogged, they sometimes entered circulation together. I know of one collector who found 3 significant filled die cents in a single roll of pennies he purchased from a bank in the mid-1980s. This kind of concentration creates the tantalizing possibility of making multiple discoveries once you find your first example. The 1978 filled die cent also serves as a reminder that not all valuable coins are necessarily old or rare in the traditional sense. These pennies were struck in the millions, but only a tiny fraction exhibit this particular error. It's a perfect example of how condition, visual appeal, and specific characteristics can create value even in modern coins produced during our lifetime. And that brings us to the end of our journey through these 5 extraordinary modern pennies. From the 2000 double die to the 1999 wide AM variety, the 1988 double die, the 1967 SMS special strike, and finally the 1978 filled die error. Each of these coins tells a unique story about American numismatics. They remind us that valuable treasures aren't just found in ancient hoards or museum collections. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, waiting for the knowledgeable collector to discover them. What connects all these coins is their accessibility. Unlike classic rarities that were recognized and hoarded from the moment of their creation, these modern treasures circulated freely before their significance was fully understood. This means that discoveries are still being made today, and any one of us could be the next person to find a 4-figure rarity in our change jar or collection. So keep your eyes open, train yourself to recognize these varieties, and never stop checking those pennies before you spend them. The next great numismatic discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, in the world of coins, knowledge truly is power. Now let's move on to our second featured rarity, the 1999 Lincoln Cent Wide AM Reverse Variety. This coin represents one of those delightful mistakes that happen during transitions in the minting process, creating a scarce variety that has coin collectors constantly checking their change. The story of the 1999 wide AM penny begins with a planned design modification that wasn't supposed to happen until the following year. Throughout most of the 1990s, the Lincoln Cent featured what numismatists call a close AM reverse, where the letters A and M in America appear to be touching or nearly touching at their bases. The U.S. Mint had created new reverse dies for 2000 with a noticeably wider gap between these letters, what we now call the wide AM variety. However, somehow, a few of these 2000 intended reverse dies were accidentally used in 1999, creating an unintended transitional variety. What makes this story particularly fascinating is how it illustrates the complex logistics of die preparation at the U.S. Mint. Dies aren't produced on demand. They're created in advance, inventoried, and then distributed to the various minting facilities as needed. This error reveals a small but significant breakdown in that inventory control system. Someone, somewhere, grabbed the wrong dies from storage and sent them to the production floor. It's these kinds of human moments that create the varieties collectors treasure. Identifying the 1999 wide AM penny requires attention to detail. You'll need at least a 5x magnifying glass to examine the reverse of the coin. On the standard 1999 penny, the A and M in America have bases that nearly touch. On the rare wide AM variety, there's a clear gap between these letters. Additionally, look at the letters F and E in of and the A and M in America. On the wide AM variety, these letters are positioned differently compared to the standard issue. The mint mark is also crucial. While wide AM pennies exist from both Philadelphia and San Francisco, the Philadelphia no mint mark variety is significantly rarer and more valuable. The value of a 1999 wide AM penny varies dramatically based on condition and mint mark. For Philadelphia minted examples, without a mint mark, even circulated specimens can command $100 to $200. In mint state, the values climb steeply. An MS-63 might sell for $500 to $700, while an MS-65 can reach $1,200 to $1,500. The finest known examples, graded MS-67 or higher, have sold at auction for over $5,000. The San Francisco proof versions are less valuable but still significant, typically selling for $150 to $300 depending on the grade. What I find particularly compelling about the 1999 wide AM penny is how it represents a type of error that's becoming increasingly rare in the modern era. As the mint continues to digitize and automate its processes, human error varieties like wrong dies being used are becoming less common. The 1999 wide AM might represent one of the last great mechanical mix-ups of the 20th century. There's also an interesting collecting psychology around transitional varieties like this. They carry historical significance beyond their rarity. They mark a specific moment of change in U.S. coinage design. For the complete collector, having both the standard 1999 close AM and the rare wide AM variety tells a more complete story about American coinage during this period than either coin alone. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1999 wide AM penny is that it wasn't immediately recognized when it was released. These coins entered circulation and were used as everyday currency for months or even years before the variety was documented. This means there's still the tantalizing possibility that uncirculated examples are sitting in original bankrolls, forgotten in collections, or maybe even in your change jar. Unlike errors that were spotted quickly and hoarded, the 1999 wide AM had time to disperse widely before collectors knew to look for it. I've spoken with several collectors who found their 1999 wide AM pennies years after acquiring them, simply by rechecking their collections after learning about the variety. One collector I know had a roll of 1999 pennies stored away since they were released, and when he finally checked them carefully in 2015, he discovered he had two wide AM varieties in uncirculated condition. That's the equivalent of finding several $1,000s that had been hiding in plain sight for over 15 years. What also makes the 1999 wide AM penny special within the numismatic community is the way it rewards knowledge over wealth. You don't need deep pockets to find one. You just need sharp eyes and an understanding of what to look for. In this way, error and variety collecting continues to be one of the most democratic forms of numismatics, where anyone with dedication and knowledge can potentially make significant discoveries. For those of you watching who might want to start hunting for these coins, I'd recommend getting familiar with the diagnostics by studying high-resolution images online before diving into your collections. The difference between close AM and wide AM is subtle enough that you might miss it without training your eye first. And remember, always verify important finds with a professional grading service. The investment in authentication is well worth it for coins of this value. Now let's journey back a bit further to explore one of the most fascinating transitional rarities in modern Lincoln cent history, the 1967 Lincoln cent with the SMS finish. This coin represents a curious chapter in U.S. mint history and offers collectors a compelling combination of rarity and historical significance. The story of the 1967 SMS penny begins with a decision by the U.S. Mint to temporarily discontinue the production of proof sets. Those specially struck, mirror finish coins sold directly to collectors. From 1965 through 1967, as the nation faced a severe coin shortage, the Mint suspended proof production to focus on meeting circulation needs. But the Mint didn't want to abandon collectors entirely, so they created what they called special Mint sets, or SMS. These sets featured coins with a distinctive finish, not quite as mirror-like as proofs, but significantly more polished and sharper than standard circulation strikes. What makes the 1967 SMS penny particularly interesting is the inconsistency in their production. Some of these cents were struck with exceptional care, resulting in coins with amazing luster, sharp strikes, and distinctive surfaces that set them apart even from other SMS coins. These superior examples are what advanced collectors now hunt for, and they're becoming increasingly recognized as significant modern rarities. Identifying a genuine 1967 SMS penny requires attention to several key characteristics. First, look for exceptional luster with a satin-like appearance that's distinctly different from the more matte finish of regular uncirculated coins. The strike should be remarkably sharp, with every detail of Lincoln's hair and the wheat sheaves crisply defined. The edges of the devices should show a slight, squared-off appearance rather than the more rounded edges of circulation strikes. Under magnification, the field should display flow lines that run parallel to the direction the planchet metal moved during striking, a characteristic feature of special striking techniques. The value of a 1967 SMS penny varies dramatically based on quality. An average example from a regular SMS set might sell for $5 to $10. However, the exceptional specimens with perfect strikes and pristine surfaces can command $300 to $500 even in grades like MS 66. At the highest levels, MS 67 plus examples with full red color have sold for $1,000 to $1,500. But the real prizes are the SMS specimens with cameo or deep cameo contrast between frosty devices and mirror-like fields. These exceptional pieces can bring $2,000 to $3,000, with one spectacular deep cameo example selling for just over $4,200 at a specialized auction in 2018. What I find particularly fascinating about the 1967 SMS penny is how it represents a brief but significant deviation in U.S. mint policy. For those 3 years, 1965, 1966, and 1967, the Mint was experimenting with new approaches to collector products, trying to balance their commercial obligations with their traditional role as producers of numismatic treasures. The SMS coins tell that story in a tangible way that collectors can hold in their hands. There's also something compelling about how these coins have grown in recognition and value over time. When they were first released, most collectors saw SMS coins as poor substitutes for the proof coins they really wanted. Many sets were broken up, with the coins spending decades in general collections without special recognition. It's only in the past 20 years that the numismatic community has fully appreciated the distinctive nature of the best SMS strikes, leading to significant reappraisal of their value and importance. I've spoken with several older collectors who remember purchasing these SMS sets directly from the mint for just a few dollars when they were issued. One gentleman from Pennsylvania told me he bought 5 sets in 1967, stored them away, and largely forgot about them. When he had them evaluated recently, he discovered that one of his sets contained an exceptional SMS cent with deep cameo contrast, a coin now worth more than he paid for all 5 original sets combined. It's these kinds of numismatic success stories that keep us all digging through our collections with renewed enthusiasm. The 1967 SMS penny also offers an interesting lesson in the subjective nature of coin grading and categorization. The line between a regular SMS cent and an exceptional one isn't always clear-cut. It requires judgment, experience, and sometimes debate among experts. This subjective element adds an intellectual dimension to collecting these coins that goes beyond simple rarity or historical significance. For those of you who might be checking your collections after hearing this, I should note that authentic SMS coins were only sold in complete sets by the mint, not released into circulation. So while you won't find one in your pocket change, it's entirely possible that you or someone in your family purchased these sets when they were issued. They were popular gifts for births, graduations, and other special occasions during those years. Check those old blue Whitman folders or those boxes of inherited coins. You might have a small treasure waiting to be discovered. What also makes the 1967 SMS penny collectible is its connection to a pivotal moment in American coinage. These were the years immediately following the removal of silver from most U.S. circulating coins, a controversial decision that fundamentally changed American coinage. The SMS sets, including these pennies, were produced during this transitional period and reflect the mint's adjustments to new economic and numismatic realities. Let's shift our attention now to a genuine modern treasure, the 1988 Lincoln cent with a dramatic double-die obverse. This coin represents one of the most significant double-die errors of the late 20th century, and unlike some subtle varieties that require magnification to appreciate, this one practically jumps out at you once you know what to look for. The story of the 1988 double die penny begins, as many great numismatic tales do, with a mistake in the die manufacturing process. During the creation of the die, the hub that imprints the design made multiple impressions that weren't perfectly aligned. The result? Every coin struck from this die shows pronounced doubling on Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions. What makes this particular double die special is both its prominence and its timing. It appeared during a period when the mint was actively working to eliminate such errors through improved technology. The 1988 double die was first discovered by a keen-eyed collector in the Philadelphia area who noticed something odd about a handful of pennies in his pocket change. Word spread quickly through the numismatic community, and before long, collectors across the country were scrutinizing their 1988 cents. Unlike some varieties that take years to be recognized, this one caught attention relatively quickly, though not before thousands had entered circulation, creating the perfect treasure hunt for collectors today. Identifying the 1988 double die penny is relatively straightforward once you know the diagnostic features. The most prominent doubling appears on the word Liberty, where you'll see clear separation particularly on the letters L, I, and B. The date also shows significant doubling, especially on the digits 1 and 9. Even Lincoln's eye and bow tie display noticeable doubling when examined under modest magnification. What's particularly interesting is that this doubling follows a north-northeast direction, creating what specialists call a clockwise spread that's quite distinctive compared to other double die varieties. In terms of value, the 1988 double die cent commands impressive prices across all grade ranges. Even well-worn examples in fine condition regularly sell for $75 to $150, making this one of those rare modern coins that's valuable even when it shows significant circulation wear. In extremely fine condition, these cents typically command $200 to $350. Moving into the uncirculated grades, MS 63 examples fetch $500 to $700, while premium MS 65 specimens can bring $1,000 to $1,500 at auction. The most pristine examples, graded MS 67 or higher, have sold for over $3,000, with one exceptional MS 68 example reaching nearly $4,500 at a specialized auction in 2019. There's a fascinating aspect to the 1988 double die that goes beyond its monetary value. This coin emerged during what many numismatists consider the golden age of error collecting, the 1980s and early 1990s. During this period, sophisticated collector networks were developing, coin publications were reaching wide audiences, and interest in varieties and errors was surging. At the same time, the mint was transitioning to more advanced technologies. This combination created perfect conditions for both the creation and discovery of significant minting errors. I've spoken with several longtime collectors who recall the excitement when news of the 1988 double die first broke. One gentleman from Ohio told me how he spent an entire weekend going through every roll of pennies he could get from local banks. His persistence paid off when he found 3 examples in a single $25 box of pennies, coins that today would be worth well over $1,500 combined. Stories like these capture the thrill of the hunt that makes error collecting so addictive. What's particularly impressive about the 1988 double die cent is its consistency. Unlike some double die varieties where the doubling can be more pronounced on some examples than others, the 1988 shows strong, clear doubling on every specimen. This is because the doubling occurred on the master die rather than during the striking process, ensuring that every coin made from that die carries the same distinctive characteristics. There's also an educational value to coins like the 1988 double die. They provide a tangible illustration of the minting process and its potential fallibility. When I show someone a 1988 double die cent for the first time, their reaction typically progresses from confusion to fascination as they understand how such an error could occur. It's a gateway to deeper appreciation of numismatics as both an art and a science. If you're hunting for a 1988 double die cent in your collection, I should mention that there are several less dramatic double die varieties from the same year. While the major variety, cataloged as FS 101, is the one commanding the highest prices, there are at least 8 other recognized double die varieties from 1988. These secondary varieties show less prominent doubling and are worth considerably less, but they still represent interesting collecting opportunities in their own right. For those of you watching who enjoy the detective work aspect of coin collecting, the 1988 double die cent represents the perfect challenge, rare enough to be valuable and exciting when found, but common enough that discoveries are still being made today. In fact, I know of a collector in California who found an uncirculated example just last year while searching through a collection of Lincoln cents he had inherited from his grandfather. These kinds of stories keep us all checking our change and our collections, hoping for that moment of discovery that every collector dreams about.